Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Beyond the Broomstick, the podcast that introduces the opportunities and possibilities that spirituality can bring to you in your everyday life, whilst removing some of the woo-woo that we see on social media. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about over-egging the cake when it comes to spirituality, the information that we seek, and how, I know you're going to hate it, all the answers are absolutely with you right now, but sometimes we can ask way too many people for way too many opinions and over-egg the cake when it comes to investigating, reading, looking at things. I really want to talk about that in depth today. And we are also going to be talking about what I have been shown coming in the coming weeks. It's a little bit dicey energy, I'm going to be honest with you. And some of the things that I see, I can't always take to social media. People have to understand that I have to be very careful what I bring to social media, not only because I have to manage other people's triggers to a certain extent, but I also need to be very wary of my own presence on social media. If I get banned or I get shadow banned, I can help nobody at all. Before I get started today, I want to thank everyone that attended the event this weekend. I had a live event with Laurie, who many of you know from social media as the Awake Space. If you have listened to her podcast, the Awake Space, she is an amazing astrologer, and our respective audiences introduced us last year, and we kept getting tagged in each other's posts because we were speaking the same language. We both have individual abilities. Laurie is a sensational astrologer. She is amazing. If you watch her, if you watch all of her teachings on astrology, as well as her mundane astrology, you will see that she is incredibly good at predicting things. And I use spirit. I work with spirit. And as well as that, we have separate training. Laurie is an international relations specialist. I am a behavioral economist, and we both worked in areas before we did what we do full time that allowed us to choose our language very carefully and to word things in a way that people understand. And that's where our training comes together phenomenally. When we work together, the ability to drill down into areas of the world, predictions coming in, events happening is phenomenal. Individually, we predict things amazingly. Together, we predict things phenomenally. And we had an event back in May, and a lot of those predictions happened. It was like bang, bang, bang. They all started to happen pretty much immediately. And when we decided to have this event, we said, okay, we'll do a couple of hours. We put the tickets up for sale, and we sat down and we were very strategic about how we did things. So we covered Europe, including Eastern Europe and the UK. We covered Australia and New Zealand, Japan, the US of A, and South America and Central America. And we thought, yeah, we're gonna do this in 2 hours. No, we literally it was about 30 minutes per country. And it was so in depth, it took us nearly 5 hours of work. Thank you for all those that hung in. If you didn't hang in, you would have your recording by now. If you had already, chosen to attend the event and couldn't hang in for the 5 hours, the recordings will be with you. We will be selling the event separately on Patreon. We're going to split it into areas, I think, to make it a little bit cheaper and a little bit easier for people to purchase. So that'll be up sometime this week. But yeah, thank you for those that did attend. We had a full house. It was amazing. So many people signed up for that event and came along, and I hope you enjoyed it. It is just one of those things that we do incredibly well together, as well as individually, obviously, but together we are a force to be reckoned with. And that event was just, sensational. So lots of predictions made, lots of things we see. And the time we covered during that event was from August right the way through until the end of the year. So it was a lot of information. Might have been overload, but we enjoyed it. And if you don't know, Laurie and I also have a podcast called The Sassy Seers, which is on a hiatus at the moment. It'll be back in a couple of weeks. It's very light. It's almost comical, but it is just two old birds relaxing after a long week at work and offloading our woes and having a bit of a laugh. Because we both do very serious jobs, and sometimes you just have to let loose. So check out The Sassy Seers if you haven't already. So what do I mean by over-egging the cake? I don't mean that you shouldn't explore your options, but I want people to be a little bit more careful about how and how much they explore. One of the many reasons that people come to me for readings is because they're feeling very disillusioned, or they're feeling very stuck in their life and they're looking for some form of fulfillment. Now, as a psychic advisor, I'm lucky to have an amazing ability to connect with your guides, connect with my guides, and give you really in-depth reasons why you could be stuck and how to overcome that. And that's great. It's amazing, and a lot of people are very grateful for that information and helping you and put you on the pathway that best serves you. I always say that predictions come in during a reading, but they're not necessarily going to happen unless you start making tracks in the way that you want things to happen. For instance, just pie in the sky, if somebody's looking to get into a relationship or is craving a relationship, but they're waiting for somebody to turn up and their mentality is around, there's no one decent out there, there's no one decent online, there's no point dating, I'm not ready, I don't feel good about myself, then your guides are going to tell you what you need to do in order to build that confidence and to look and to change that mindset. If you do not follow that mindset, then how can you expect things to change? You actually need to do something different in order to get a different outcome to what you're currently experiencing. What I am seeing time and time again is people come to me, and I love speaking to people. I love my clients. I think they are all phenomenal. They are amazing. I am grateful for your trust in me. But take the fucking advice. Take the advice that your guides are giving you. You have this once in a lifetime opportunity to have this clear connection with your guides. Take the advice. Do the fucking work. I know that sounds harsh. I know it does. But for the love of all things holy, do the work. Stop going from advisor to advisor to advisor, looking for a different outcome in your life. We are not here to change your life. We are here to help you change your life. Sometimes it is just a little perspective change. Sometimes it is a little confidence. Sometimes it is a little, hey, you've been doing the same thing for 6 years and your guides really think you need to concentrate on X, Y, Z. If you don't do the work, you're going to continue to go down the pathway that is not serving you. The really difficult thing for me to sometimes understand or even explain to people is if you are over-egging the cake as far as guidance, reading books, watching YouTube videos, buying crystals, going to see a shaman, going to see a healer, going to a Reiki master, going to this person, going to that person, and you are draining your bank account, getting so many different ideas, ideals, and perspectives, then you are never going to change. The thing is that I don't care whether you come to me or not. That is your choice. Okay. Everyone has a different advisor that suits their needs and their ability to hear the information. I would never say to anybody that I am the only person that can ever help you, because that is simply not true. You are the only person that can help you. And once you understand that and you come to terms with it and you empower yourself, that's when the magic happens. The magic is all inside of you. And some people don't want to hear it. They feel like the more information they have from the more different sources, then they feel like that's going to change everything for them. If I read this book, I'll feel better. When I finish that book, I'm going to read this book and then I'm going to feel better. And if I read this book, then I'm going to feel better. Or if I go and see this advisor, I'm going to feel better. That person has the answers for me. That person will know for me. None of that is true. And that includes having a reading with me. I'm not a cheap psychic to have a reading with. I'm going to be honest about that. I don't charge per the minute. I charge through the energy that I am giving you at the time. And when I link in with your guides and your guides are saying to you, listen, you're doing really well, but perhaps if you can change your perspective and realize the pattern that you have made for yourself is not serving you in the best way that it can possibly serve you. And if you do the work and you really do rip off that Band-Aid and stop putting Band-Aids on it in the way of different advisors and different books and different podcasts and different crystals, then maybe you'll allow that sore that you've been festering for years to heal, and you can go out there and kick ass. When I talk about over-egging the cake, I am talking about the overconsumption of spiritual information that can become overwhelming, and then you don't know who to trust. Pick an advisor. Sometimes two, but pick an advisor and stick to them, and don't have a reading every month. I have seen a disturbing pattern in my bookings where people will book as soon as appointments become available. And it's 2 or 3 months since they've had their last reading. How are you allowing things to play out? It is just a Band-Aid effect. It is simply a Band-Aid effect. If you have another reading after such a short period of time, you have built up patterns over a long period of time. Let that sink in. If you are in your 30s and you have built up patterns over 30 years or 20 years or however long, and you are trying to extinguish those patterns in order to feel more connected to yourself and connected to your guides, and to be able to go on a pathway that feeds your soul, how can you expect change to happen immediately? You really have to put the work in order to reap the rewards. So not just around advisors, okay? So I have a bit of a rule where I say 6 months. Once every 6 months is plenty. If I am working with people and making them reliant on me, I am doing a really bad job. My job is to empower you, not disempower you. And a reading more than once every 6 months is plenty. It is not good for you. It is not good for your ability to self-soothe and start working on your own self if you have a reading more than once every 6 months. Now, quite happy to take your money, but it's not going to give you what you need. You are the person that's going to give you what you need. Choose an advisor on two or two. We offer different things, okay? The other thing is when it comes to reading material, choose the subject that you want to concentrate on. There is no need for you to be indulging in different forms of spiritual content at the same time, because how can you absorb it and put the practices into play if you put one self-help book down and pick up another? Work out whether you're going to work on the law of attraction, the law of assumption, manifesting, spiritual growth. Be very choosy on the information that you are indulging in, especially, now this is different if you are learning about different spiritual concepts and you're not using it for a crutch, but if you are particularly going through a growth period where the universe has kicked your ass and you need to start looking at your own self-development or spiritual growth, then one subject at a time with some practice time in between is really important. Now, some people will spend so much money and so much time going to and encompassing so many different practices. It becomes very dangerous because there are a lot of cult-like organizations out there that have the pseudo spiritual or spirituality guideline to it. And if you get drawn down that track, you are looking at handing over more and more money. We're going to do this course to cleanse you. We're going to do this course to start the manifesting. We're going to do this course and this course and this course. And you become addicted to those practices. And if you are going through a difficult time and the universe has given you that real wake-up call that you're on the right pathway, and I'll go into that in a little bit, and you are looking at something to make you feel better, read a book, choose your subject matter, and let it sink in before you jump to the next. Think really hard as to if the person teaching you is somebody you would turn to for advice before you overindulge in the practices of many different spiritual teachings. We can become really confused. And I am not here to say my way is right and your way is wrong or their way is wrong. I am just trying to teach that it is time for you to be more discerning about what you take on board. I also like to really warn about the predictions, because some people will expect nothing but predictions from readings with me. They're going to be disappointed. It does say on my website that yes, predictions happen, but it is about the teachings and the spiritual growth. So if you're having a reading with me and you are only writing down the predictions that your guides are giving you, and you're not writing down the important information, the teachings, the information they really want you to take on board about how you are learning, how you are teaching about yourself, how you are growing, then you are not going to have those predictions happen. And because free will is there, the free will and ability to choose those predictions or work towards those predictions is yours. When we talk about free will, we talk about your free will, your choice. Do you want to do the work, or do you just want the predictions to happen? I've talked about this before on my Surface Level Spirituality podcast episode. You cannot expect one piece of information without putting the other piece of information into work. And it is often very disheartening for people and disappointing when you are talking about wanting to really dive deep into what's going to help you grow as a person, what's going to help you understand yourself and understand others better, and really empower you to go after the things you really want in life. Now, every reader is different. 100% every reader is different. I get my information when I'm talking to you, unless you're having a mediumship reading, from your guides, my guides, etc. If you go to a tarot reader and they are purely predictive, that's great. They're seeing events coming in. Go use them for your predictive information. But what I really want to warn people of is when you are not open to hearing everything, you are not going to learn what it is you need to learn. So before we go any further, let's do this week's Patreon shout outs. If you don't know about my Patreon page, the link is in my bio. It gives you access to all sorts of extra content. There are extra podcasts. There'll be some videos going up. There is lots. Make sure that you have a good click around. Look at the collections. That will give you a good idea of what's available to you. So, this week's Patreon members, or new Patreon members, so I should say, are Kath22, Stephanie, Andrea, MF, Tunny, Kate B, Steph, Tyler Jornaby, Amy, Becca-licious, Shay Marie, Jennifer, Kelso, who has joined for a full 12 months, Lenny, Kat, Heather, Beza, Mia, Marie, Sissy, Carmen Dobronsky, Christine, Jodie Kender, who has joined for a full 12 months, Robin, Jennifer Smith, Wendy, who has joined for a full 12 months, Lou Marrero, Alexander Clancy, Carol M, Andrea, Kathleen Kowalski, Linda B, Marius Weisgood, and Kestrel. All fantastic. Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our little community. Don't forget that we've got the chats open for you. Those have been replaced Discord. They are for the community. If there's a chat you'd like opened that I haven't done, or a topic that you would like discussed, please let me know, because those chats are for you. Okay? They are for you. They are for your purpose, for you to meet new people, to have questions answered. I'm not always around or have time to be in the chats. I pop in from time to time, but the community is for you guys and to be built by you guys. But let me know if you'd like some extra topics started up, things you'd like to talk about. So as I was talking about, it's really important that we understand, or you guys understand, that you are so powerful, that you have so much power at your fingertips as to what you accept and what you don't accept in this lifetime. My job as a spiritual advisor is to ensure that you know how to use that power, that you understand that you are powerful, and to make sure that you don't fall down a rabbit hole that all it does is defer the inevitable. Having a kick up the backside from the universe, and this can look in various ways. It can be that a job is lost, or a relationship is lost, friendships disappear, etc. Having that kick from the universe is then your opportunity to go, okay, thank you, universe. What do I need to do to start realizing that I have the power? And when we start over-consuming spirituality, that can look like going to every tarot reader that is advised, looking at people on social media, making weekly appointments with different advisors, not just one, different advisors, over-consuming books, listening to different ideas. It's great to do that for a short period of time to work out what pathway you want to go down. But if you are continuing to do it after 6 months, then you really need to think about, okay, have I just put my energy into something that is just taking my energy and I'm just over searching, rather than putting the energy within myself to look for the actual answers. All roads point to you. Doesn't matter how you get there. Doesn't matter how the universe points you back to yourself. But the longer you delay the realization that you are the one that has the power, and working on your inner self and your self-concept is what will get you to the place you want to be. The sooner you work that out and the sooner you start realizing, okay, maybe I've got a bit of a pattern here. Maybe I've changed one thing. I'm putting my energy into something else. I'm putting my energy into something else. I'm putting my energy in. Then rather than actually put the energy into myself and make a realization that, hey ho, maybe it's time to look at myself. The longer you put that off, the longer your journey to actually feeling fulfilled and empowered is going to be. I am not here to make a judgment call on you and your choices. All I am here to do is to make you very aware that you do have choices. There is a real feeling that if we continue to look for the answers outside of ourselves, then we're going to continue to need that validation from outside of ourselves. But if we start seeing the answers within and the patterns we develop, then we're going to come a lot further, a lot quicker. The upshot really is that you can spend as much time as you want over consuming different spiritual practices, etc. I think it's a great thing to do in the short term. But if you continue to overconsume after you've had that initial period of will I, won't I, which path am I going to go down? How am I going to look at different things? If you continue to do that, rather than put into action the tools, rather than put things into action, you pick up another book or you try another advisor or you look somewhere else. All that is doing is delaying your processing, delaying your ability to put things into action. And there's no magic wand. You can read as many books as you want. You can speak to as many advisors as you want. You can shove as many crystals in your bra strap as you want. But if you don't put into practice what everyone is telling you to do, nothing is going to change. It's about the change within you. One thing to recognize the patterns. One thing to say, oh, I do this because of X, Y, Z. Another thing to say, okay, I actually need to empower myself and make the changes in my own patterns and recognize those in order to bring the change into my life. It is just so important. I am not against the consumerization of certain amounts of spirituality. I am not against everyone doing their investigation. But what I do warn against is becoming so engrossed in different seminars, different groups, different focus groups, different books, different advisors. You've got to work out a way for them all to point in the right direction, and that is you. You are the powerful one in all of this. Like a personal trainer, and I've always said this, I work like a personal trainer. I think once you've got the tools to go and do what you need to do, you need to go and do it. Because how is holding your hand and going, there, dear, they said this to you because of that, or they behaved that way to you because of their own problem. How somebody else behaves, how they treat you is on them. The quicker you come to that conclusion of, I am affected, I have been affected by other people's behavior towards me. Do I need to spend more energy in understanding them? Well, yeah, you know what? It's nice to do that. Is understanding them going to affect myself? Well, it probably makes you a little bit more vulnerable, and it probably puts off the fact that you need to be looking at your own energy and choosing where you put your own energy. So, in short, great. Do your research, find out about different spiritual practices. Have a couple of readings with different people. As I said, I wish I could help more people. I can't. I am just chock-a-block at the moment. Look at your options and understand that the answers are always going to lie with you. Whether you decide to do it tomorrow, 6 months, a year, 5 years, it's up to you how long you want to delay it. But you've got this. You have this. You are amazing. And you are powerful, and you can get through anything with your own sense of self and self-concept. I hope that all makes sense. I always feel like I go on a bit of a rant, but I don't mean to, and I really it's so important for me to learn to empower you all and take responsibility for your own growth. So what's going on in the world at the moment? It's been very frightening for a lot of people. We currently have riots in the United Kingdom. We have severe unrest and the departure of the leader in Bangladesh. There is also things going on in Venezuela. A lot of these things I've already talked about in the event that I had with Laurie Rivers, and I've made a video on Venezuela. I will be making my Patreon only video in the next day or so. But what I really want you to understand that it is going to be bumpy. I'm not going to lie, the next 18 months is going to be very, very bumpy. And I will get into my 2025 predictions later in the year. But at the moment, I am, honestly, I don't want to go into the energy. But at the moment, I am concentrating on the now and getting people through with as much resilience and as much power as possible. So remember that just because you watch something or you go down the rabbit hole of watching things on YouTube, TikTok, whatever, doesn't mean to say that you have to. This is the thing. Manage the information that you're taking in, because it is going to feel very scary. If you feel the need, make sure that you are helping someone close to home, because that will make a difference. Work on your own gratitude every day. Work on your own affirmations. That's going to set you in a really good pattern. And being able to help yourself as well as other people in the months to come. It's not pleasant, okay? I've talked extensively about the United States, and I have done, there is a Patreon only podcast on the United Kingdom. And I have said this for a long time, a lot of things need to change within the people. Stop blaming the government for things that are happening to you personally. So many people are angry, and, rightly so, the government have failed. I'm not going to lie about that. But there are certain parts and aspects that people are blaming the government in the United Kingdom for that are really your responsibility. They are the responsibility of the people. And again, this is all about people looking at themselves instead of putting their energy externally. So if people spend so many hours, months, weeks, years blaming the government, then how can they possibly take responsibility for their own actions? It's all about looking within and realizing where our own actions lead us. And that doesn't mean to say that I agree with anything the government has done. I don't really care. I know that they need to be helping people from an earlier age to become more self-sufficient. So the United Kingdom is not going to settle down for a really long while. I'm going to be honest. I'm not convinced that Keir Starmer is staying. That could be something that happens in the early part of 2025, if not before. It feels like there may be a vote of no confidence or something is going on between now and about March 2025. So look out for that. I do think that the British government is going to do what is needed, but it's not going to be looked upon positively. They are clamping down and stopping behaviours with a short, sharp shock. Whether you agree or not, it is going to make a difference. The problem in Bangladesh is going to be more pronounced as we move through the next month or so. The heat is going to cause an issue. It feels that there are a lot of illnesses or waterborne viruses that seem to impact that region. And I'm also concerned that there is going to be a civil war between two different countries, or a war between two different countries in that region. Not getting a lot of information at the moment, but it feels like someone is taking advantage of the unrest. That's how I want to put it in that region. I will do a little bit more of a deep dive for next podcast that I put on my Patreon, but it feels like somebody is taking advantage of the lack of leadership or the lack of power. But I am concerned about health in that area and a health crisis that is going to sweep through that region. That is concerning. I've already talked about Venezuela on my TikTok. The US, I still don't see Trump being the final candidate. Going to be honest, feel like he'll cut and run. He also may use illness or be sick. So be ready for that in the next coming months. Do I think he'll debate? Listen, I was wrong last time. I said no, I didn't think he'd debate, whether it was what I was being shown this time or not. Listen, I'm not perfect. And I think people need to understand that I'm not perfect, and I don't think I am. This will be interesting the next couple of months. Sometime between now and mid-September, things are going to change quite dramatically from the Trump camp or the Republican camp, more to the point. And the fact that, as I said, Republicans are pulling back. They're showing that they have no faith in him. I've been saying this since February last year. Interesting. In Australia, I also want to flag that I do feel that we will have a snap election. It will happen at very short notice. I feel this year, but I may be ridiculously wrong on my dates, but I do feel there'll be a snap, like it'll happen really quickly. What are we on today? We are on the 7th of August, so that will be interesting. I feel like that might happen. But what I do want to say, if you are in Melbourne in the next 2 weeks, so 13th, 14th, 15th of August, maybe a little bit later, be aware, be careful. I haven't been given specifics, but I have a very uneasy feeling about Melbourne and ridiculous behaviour. So not sure it's a terrorist attack, but it just feels like something very violent is happening in the centre of Melbourne. It feels like it's up around Spencer Street, but also could involve like the hospital precinct. If you live in Melbourne, you'll know where I'm talking about. Just feel like there's something quite violent. It could be rioters. So just be aware of your surroundings. Okay. Listen to the news, that sort of thing, if you're going to be visiting Melbourne or you work in the centre of Melbourne. That's about it from me at the moment. Just keep with it. Keep the belief in yourself. The more you work on your inner energy and where your energy is focusing, the more you will realize how much energy you've wasted. It's like I work with the law of attraction. A lot of you have attended my previous law of attraction courses. There is another one in August. It's something that really does help you focus your energy on what you want. It's focusing your energy on the intention you want to bring in. And it makes you realize how much wasted energy you have used worrying about things of insignificance to you. That will help. So if you're interested in that, pop along to my website. You will see, and the link is in the show notes. You will see that. And anyone that's interested, I have a little bit of a charity project going at the moment. It involves orange mango stress balls. If you know, you know. The link is in my bio. All profits are going to a children's aid, an international children's aid charity or charities. I'm going to split it up between a few to make sure that Angry Mangoes pay their way. So enjoy that. Thank you very much. I know today is a bit of a waffle. Please email me if you want any topics covered on spirituality. I would really appreciate that. Know your energy, know where it's going, understand your power is the big message for today. Thank you all for your continued support. Love you all. Take care, and I will see you next week.